was the outcome of the trial at the end of the film?
So this man, Wassim Tamimi, who I decided to end the film with his quote from the trial, he, at the time, more or less a year after the film was released, less 10 months after that, this trial had finished. The outcome of this was a relatively very trial that people knew about. The media covered it to a certain extent, also outside Israel. And the judges actually, during the process, the judges actually asked the prosecution to go back from most of the charges on the indictment. And finally, around a year after the arrest, the trial comes to an end when the sentence was that year, the year that was served during the time of proceedings. But many times this is the case in military trials, that because of the situation that very high percent, almost 100% of the cases are tried while the person is under arrest. And that's different from our normal legal system. In many felonies, you will be released during the period of the trial. So what happens is that many times the trial comes to an end when both sides feel that this will be the trial. So he was released, and 4 months afterwards, he participated in an organized sitting in front of the supermarket, part of the Israeli chain of supermarkets, but a supermarket in a settlement in the Ramallah area, and he was again arrested, and this time there was a plea bargain for 4 months, and he has recently been released again. But because of the way this person is, likely that there will be other cases.
Mine's more of a comment. I guess I just find like the hypocrisy of the whole Israeli system, like it amazes me, like the double standards that they put like between the Palestinians and the Israelis. And one thing that stuck out to me in the film was when he stated about how they treat the Palestinians differently because they don't follow the law of war or something like that.
How he treated in the early case?
Yeah, it was early in the film how they don't follow the law of war, but neither does Israel. Israel violates a lot of international laws regarding war, like for instance, the White Cross was used on Palestinians. So I found that interesting that he accused them of not following the law of war, but neither do they.
Yes, I think one problem that this situation creates, and a few situations within our society, is that we are losing the idea of having one standard, and this is actually coming back and educating ourselves back to one standard would make a lot of these things impossible. But I think, by the way, I think it's something that, I mean, many times the film, when seen in the States, is perceived by some of the audience as a mirror to many things that are going on here and dilemmas that are here. But I think that the problem begins when you uphold law, but you forget about the fact that you need to have one standard. That's a dangerous situation. Just a second. Yes.
Why were these judges and
one person who was behind it, and that's Attorney Livni, who speaks about the torture. He didn't, I read that he said this in an interview to the New York Review of Books, he didn't intend on this happening to him during the filming, but he did. The fact that he sort of went to a place where he didn't expect he would go, something happened when he was filming, but the rest of the people did not like it, and some of them during the time after the film's release had changed their position in a way. I mean, they were not happy with the way the film turned out or their interview, but they said to me that they could see the need for this kind of film to be made, even if it, in a way, it shoved this in their faces in a way that they didn't expect. When I presented the film to these people, I mean, it's not the first film I made about this issue, and my views, political views, were published in different ways. But when I definitely presented the study in a more neutral way than the film is, and that's also how I conducted the interview. To a great extent, it was a conversation and not a confrontation. I didn't so much present my views. But they could feel where the questions were going, and the interviews are not compulsory. I mean, you change the tape every 25 minutes. It was just a place to end it and to say, okay, I've had enough and I want to go, and they didn't. I think there are reasons for that. Maybe I'll elaborate. I'd also not interview anyone who is working in the system today, because the film was not made with participation of the army spokesman, so I couldn't approach anyone who is still working in the legal system in any way. I also couldn't approach anyone who's working in the Israeli legal system who comes from the military system, because I also didn't approach the Ministry of Justice spokesman. So in a way, I had a narrow corridor of people to approach, and I didn't approach many more than the ones that I interviewed. Almost everyone agreed. There are two people in the film who are were important people in our legal world. Justice Shamgal, of course, who is one of the most important people, and Justice Goshnell, who was a judge. And both of them were public figures. But the rest were people who had never spoken of these issues. And this I only understood after the fact. That there was a lot of research and writing done about the subject, but no one ever went and spoke to these people. And for some of them, this was really the highlight of their professional career, or a very important work that they felt that they did. And finally, someone came to speak about it. And I think this, for some of them, this is what gave me the opportunity.
There was an element of vanity in some way, too, perhaps. Vanity?
For them?
Well, I mean, you're saying that nobody did.
Vanity. It's like I'm standing here and speaking about what I did. In a way, people who stand behind their work, sometimes people come, I mean, many of you have seen The Gatekeepers.
The Gate, I was thinking.
The Gatekeepers is a different case. Gatekeepers, the people who came to speak in the film, as I see it, as much as I understand it, it speaks their agenda. Regretfully, I couldn't make a film like that. I made a film in which the people agreed to speak, but for many of them, I mean, again, there is a gray area there, but for some of them, the film doesn't speak their agenda. That's a difference.
I have a lot of questions about this desk, two of them. One of them is, from the time you first decided to make the film to by the end of it, in what way did your own ideas change, or what do you feel you most kind of learned or were surprised by in the film? The other is, you say a little more about the reaction in Israel to your film.
Okay. So this is a very, documentaries are, there are various kinds of documentaries. There's the kind of documentary that you follow something and you don't know how it will evolve. This is not really this kind of film. This is a film that's very very static. It's basically shot in 2 shots, and I studied the subject for a couple of years before I did the interview, so there was not a lot that could surprise me on the fact level. I also studied, this refers to the reason why they continue to talk. I studied their work, and I could speak to them in detail about it, and that made them have to answer in detail and not just speak generally about political views. But coming back to this, on the fact level, there was hardly anything that surprised me, but the two main, I can speak about 2 issues, in which one which was a surprise and the other was a kind of change of understanding something in a deeper way. I think that when I prepared and I was reading their work and reading the work of defense lawyers and learning, things were much more clear to me than when I finally sat down and started to speak with these people, because I felt, before I really knew what I think about the cases, and sitting in front of them, I felt the mirror that they were putting in front of me in a much more complicated way. I didn't think so much about what comes out of the film, the layer of what happens to you when you, and this happens to many of us, when you function in a certain system, and the system has its direction, where it's going, and you are in it, and you decide you're not going to leave it. And then you have to start to rationalize. And this applies to school teachers, to doctors, to filmmakers, to many professions. And then, and seeing them rationalize and being with them in the process of rationalizing things, that this was the big surprise, or this was where I was feeling something new. It wasn't something that I knew would happen in this film. A certain issue, which I feel is an important issue, in the film, I think again, one of the limitations of documentaries is that everything is very concise, and everything is, and depth of the research of this kind of film can't come in. You can't represent things necessarily in the depth that you want. So an issue that I found very important for me is the issue with the High Court of Justice and its involvement. And there I went through some kind of a process, because before I started working on the subject, I belonged to a part of the Israeli society in which the High Court of Justice is really like the last resort, in a way. We don't have a constitution. We have a political system that is generation after generation somehow less trustable and less serious, and it seems also more corrupted, and also a society that's moving not in a democratic direction, but the other direction. So the High Court of Justice is really, we put our trust in this. And I live in Jerusalem, and it's a graffiti that you can see on the wall